Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for True show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for True show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and it's a pleasure to have you back with us again for this next episode. Today we have a very important subject because it involves our world, leadership, integrity, education, communities. Really, it's going to be a very expansive program, and we're going to get right to it. An engineer, if you put up his pictures, I want to introduce to our viewers our special guest tonight, Dr. Samuel Jacobs Abbey, a global diplomatic council and special envoy to the United Nations. And there you see him. He has a great smile. He's an envoy to the United Nations and the African Union. Prior to his appointment, Ambassador Dr. Jacobs Abbey served as the executive director of the Jacobs Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies, and previously served as director of International Center for Conflict and Human Rights and programs director, Sub-Saharan Africa Division of Youth for Human Rights International. In addition to his diplomatic services, Dr. Jacobs Abbey has a long career in international development and served as a consultant for Youth for Human Rights International, UNICEF, UNESCO, UNNP, UNNV, Children of the Earth, One Humanity Institute, Junior Chamber International, and served as the chairman of the board of directors for African Hope Girls Foundation. Ambassador Dr. Samuel Jacobs Abbey holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Healthcare Administration and Management from Purdue Global University, an MBA in Healthcare Management and Business Analytics from St. Leo's University, and a PhD in Health Services from Walden University. He is an HBUC professor at Morris Brown College and is a recipient of the prestigious Mahatma Gandhi Leadership Award for Social Good by Lanka Achievers Foundation. And Buddha, if you put him up on the screen, I want a bit of warm welcome to Dr. Jacobs Abbey to A Time for True show. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you for taking your time. I know you're a very busy man, and so there's a lot that people can learn from you, so I want to get right into it. And I want to ask you a question. When you were a young man, what were your dreams and aspirations?
Well, as a young man, I always wanted to be a medical doctor because I love helping people. But when I went to high school, I realized that I wasn't too good with chemistry. So I realized that, well, I need to take a path that will enable me to become a doctor, probably not medical, but still have the dream of having a doctoral title by my name because I felt it opens different avenues for you to be on the table and to engage with people because it gives you access. And so even though I didn't end up becoming a medical doctor, I still pursued a PhD in public health policy. So I still happen to work in the area of healthcare and propagating health policies across the globe.
Very interesting. And you know, as I was reading your bio, and I had to really reduce it dramatically because you really have done so much and accomplished so much in your life, that what I want you to do is I'd like you to share with our viewers your philosophy and your approach to life.
Thank you very much. As a young man growing up in Ghana, West Africa, and having traveled across the West African continent, I came to the realization that in life, people get inspired by the opportunities they encounter. I was very privileged to have opportunity by meeting a young woman called Dr. Nina Mayoff, who originally from Vermont, brought a lot of inspiration to me and gave me an opportunity to also help young people across the African continent. Now, this shaped my life and shaped my thought process and gave me a philosophy to come to the realization that in life, tolerance is absolutely different from acceptance. I came to realize that most people tend to tolerate each other, but tolerating each other doesn't mean you've accepted us. It means I'm trying to coexist with you. But when you accept people, you accept them irrespective of their shortfalls, their challenges, their religious views, their perspectives, their socio-cultural understanding. You just accept them simply because they are human and they belong to the human ecosystem. So that has always been the philosophy of life that I have pursued, that we ought to accept people rather than tolerating people.
You know what? That's a very powerful and concise way of looking at things. Because really, when you look at it, we have a planet that's populated by so many different cultures, so many different people, and all of us have something to contribute. So I think your philosophy is right on the nose, right on the spot. And, you know, I want to ask you, because you have a lot of different fields that you're active in, but I wanted to, it's very interesting. What is it that drives you in terms of this gender equality and also the protection of young children?
Thank you very much. It's a passion that I have loved for many years. I believe that women and young girls are very powerful tool, a very powerful institute that for many years have been marginalized. Sociocultural perspective of people have had great disservice and disadvantage to women and children, particularly young women. I believe that women are very powerful group that need to be inspired and encouraged. I also believe that young people, particularly children, are not only the future, but are part of today's future. And so I felt that it is my responsibility to bring not only inspiration, but to bring some level of empowerment to young people across the globe. Once we invest in young people, we know that the future is secure because we will reorient their thought process. We will enable them to unlearn the patterns and the things that they've learned. They will relearn and they will become advocates for the future. And so children in particular always want to see beautiful smiles on their faces. Now, one of the things that I have come to appreciate in that children and young people lean on adults because they trust us to do the rightful thing for them. The reason why a child will jump from on top of a roof hoping that the father or a mother will hold them without falling is because they trust us. And so when we break the trust of these young people, we psychologically affect their growth and their development. And so it became part and parcel of my mission in life to ensure that young people across the globe, across the world, will have a same level field of getting quality education, good inspiration, good mentorship, and above all, getting the needed family support that they need. And that has been the path that I have taken for all these years. I have seen many young people being destroyed by circumstances. I was very fortunate in my life to be in Sierra Leone during the Civil War, working with the United Nations systems in Sierra Leone, and I came across many challenges that young people who were even recruited into becoming child soldiers, and the atrocities and the manipulations that went on their life. Some were forcibly pushed into drugs, and their lives have been ruined completely until this day. But one thing that I am very inspired of is that as long as we are alive, there is always hope. We can always rearrange the mindset of these people. We can always bring not only inspiration, but resources to make the best out of them. When people say it is impossible, I always say that it is possible because others have done it and we can also do it. And that has been my inspiration and motivation.
Well, that makes total sense, and very important, as you said, to protect the future of all our families, the communities, our young people. Absolutely, you're 100% correct. And I want to get to something else that you've done, because you've contributed to the passing of the Domestic Violence Act, the Human Trafficking Act. And so I wanted you to share with our viewers how you go about getting this ratification, because you're doing this at very high levels at the United Nations, at the African Union. And so I know that if you can empower those viewers who maybe are out there and want to help their communities, this would be fantastic. So share a little bit about how you go about gaining this support to get these ratifications of these important documents.
Well, thank you very much. One of the things that I want viewers to understand is that sometimes you don't need high-level platforms to make a difference. You can always make a difference from your home, from the people who you are associated with, from friends and families across. Just take an initiative. Just take one bold step, and one step will influence the other, and others will influence others. And in the end, when we put the pieces together, we could achieve a complete ratification. Now, what happens is that over the years, both the United Nations, African Union, and West African sub-regional organizations, including the ECOWAS, SADC, and other regional organizations, have always strived very hard to come out with some of these bills and announcements to encourage a fair playing field for everyone. But you and I and viewers will understand it is not an easy task, especially when politicians become very parochial and they talk a lot without taking action. And you see people who are affected with disabilities not getting access, and every year it becomes a routine. One of the things that I did was to engage those who make policies and those who enforce policies, and to bring them to the table, have conversations, project the importance of these ratifications, and more so, holding series of workshops, engaging young people on the table, and mounting pressure to governments and civil societies across the globe. But I can tell you, all these achievements became possible because we synergized our efforts with other organizations coming together to get this done. one individual or one institution will have great ideas but will not be able to achieve that much. But when we come together as a force, we are able to stand united, and we are able to pass those bills and rectify them in pieces. And as we do them slowly but in a steady manner, we get results. Have we been successful in attaining all that we want? Probably not. But can we continue to mount pressure on governments and hold governments accountable and have think tank groups that will create social awareness? Because you see, the fact of the matter is that when people become informed, that is when advocacy takes place. But when people live in ignorance, then they tend to live with what they have. But our goal is to push and push and push until we achieve results.
Thank you for sharing that with you. And, you know, I wanted to ask you now the next topic, because you direct this, your Jacobs Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies. And, you know, I wanted you to tell the viewers a little bit about your mission to bring global leaders together to learn transformational, ethical, behavior skills, inclusive communities that are socially responsible, and inspire really a commitment to excellence. Tell us a little bit about your institute and, you know, your goals with this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, having traveled across the globe, now I came to the realization that there are a lot of people, especially mid-young leaders, who want to make a difference. But I also realized that some want to take action, but they are unprepared. And so there were very opportunities that came to young people across the globe, and they screwed up, they messed up, because they have not built enough capacity to possess what it takes to lead organizations, to lead their communities, and to bring a change. So I came to the realization that effective leadership is a combination of building trust and achieving results. So how do we build trust and how do we achieve results? We can only do that when we provide quality leadership and building the capacity of young people, those in politics, young executives, and influencers. Once they have acquired the needed skills and tools, then they will be able to make meaningful decisions and well-informed choices. And so the Jacobs Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies was established primarily to give a voice and to empower people across the continent. Our mission is that simple, that how many young people on the African continent, for instance, will be able to acquire specific strategic leadership trainings? Most of them cannot afford. So how do we bring quality training to people who cannot afford, but yet they are willing? And that is where our institute comes in. We scout around the globe and look for support for organizations, individuals, 501c3 groups who want to support us. And we bring students from all over the continent and all over the world and bring them together, and we equip them with skills, knowledge, and specific area of needs. Because I have come to conclude that you are what you are based on what you know. And most people are unfortunately not well informed. And because they are not well informed, they end up being ignorant of circumstances and situations surrounding them. And that is what our organization intends to change. Not only that, we also step into an area of advocacy, because we believe we don't live in an island. Whatever happens in our communities affects all of us. And so one of the things that we also do, other than offering academic trainings and equipping the capacity of people is also to become a voice. So, for instance, we chanced on a program where young girls ought to have sexual encounters with grown-up men in order to get money to buy sanitary pad. What a disheartening situation. And so we jumped into an advocacy program with an organization called Girls Excellence Movement based in Ghana to raise money to buy a lot of sanitary pads for young girls across the Ghanaian local communities, so that menstrual period should not stop a girl from going to school, and also to create an awareness within the community about some of these challenges. Now, within the Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland area, one of the key problems that we encounter in these areas is primarily about substance abuse. It's a big issue within these communities. People, lack. When people lack and they don't have work, they find all manner of things to pleasure themselves, and this has led to so many drug abuses and have created a lot of problems within the communities. And so, one of the things that we are doing within our communities is to ensure that we stand with the community, create high-level interaction with people who are directly affected and impacted, and also to ensure that we get a lot of this conversation going. And as we keep talking, we are able to bring the reality to bear. Thank you.
Well, you know what? In that respect, I actually run a drug education program, and I'll just pop it up on the screen so we're talking about it. This one here, and this one happens to be in Spanish, but it's in 22 languages. And the program sounds like it would be perfect for your area to educate. The whole idea of the Drug-Free World program is education. And as you said, to enlighten people, to make people aware of the truth about what they're doing, because once they have that, they're empowered. And as you're doing with your institute, they're safeguarded, their integrity is much higher, and they can make informed decisions on their well-being, on their health, and really the future of those communities. So, I look forward definitely for our organizations to work together on that and to move forward. Mayor Cross and I have spoken, and she introduced the two of us. And we recently had an event at the UN, February 10th. We had a global drug-free world conference where we discussed that. And we'll have you to the next one, invite you to the next one. And, absolutely. And I want to ask you a question. As a respected philanthropist, as an advocate that you are for health, well-being, poverty reduction, the economic development, the society that you live in, what do you feel needs to be done in our country? What message you want to relay on what you feel as this person, this advocate, this envoy? What has to get happening? What has to happen?
Well, I always like to remind everyone that everyone is going through some level of a problem. The fact that you see people walk on the street, the fact that you see people sit on their couches or people sit in trains doesn't mean they are not going through difficulties. People are going through different situations. And so just be nice, keep a smile at all times, reach out to find out what you can do to make a difference in someone's life. Because it's unfortunate that day in, day out, we see people committing suicide and we see people losing their lives, and some highly respected, very affluent in society, but yet you ask yourself, they have all these monies, why are they dying? Why are they committing suicide? Money is not enough. It is giving each other support, engaging in each other in the conversation. letting people know that we are there for them. And I will say this to your viewership, that always learn to be a giver and not a receiver. Always learn to step out and be a blessing to other people. You see, I believe that God has blessed us so we can become a blessing to other person. The fact of the matter is that if someone is impacted by drugs and we have the ability and the capacity to make a difference in their life and we sit unconcerned, then we are not living a fulfilled life. Because fulfillment is when we have gone outside of our comfort zone and we have helped those in need. And so I really want to encourage all of your viewers that you can make a difference. And as I said earlier on, making a difference shouldn't be on a very high profile stages. It can simply be from your home, among your children, among your friends, and by so doing, you will be surprised the impact you'll be making in our society. That is the only message that we need to bring to ourselves. Let's be each other's keeper, because we are here together to ensure that we support each other to do well. That will be my message.
That's so true. And in today's world, you know, with all our technology and all the advancements, one of the things that it seems to me that we're losing is what you've been alluding to and what drives you, which is our humanity and, like you said, giving to others. We're getting to the end of the show. We have maybe about 45 seconds left. I wanted to ask you, because it's been a pleasure to have you, what concluding statement do you want to leave the viewers for 2023?
For 2023, I want to remind every individual watching today and those who will watch after to come to the realization that we live in a world where we ought to stand firm, believe in ourselves, and make a difference. Every day, ask yourself, what difference did I make in someone's life? If you never made any difference in anybody's life, then you have a lot of work ahead of you. So my message to all of you is that don't be a passerby or don't stand by the roadside. Make a difference and make a difference and make a difference in the lives of the people you encounter. Thank you very much.
Amen to that, Dr. Jacobs Abbey. You know, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
My pleasure. It's indeed a pleasure to be with you and your viewership.
Absolutely. And for those of you watching, let's heed his words and let's actually do that. Let's become our brother's keeper. Let's recognize people. Let them be who they are, and let's help each other. Let's move forward. We have all the technology. Let's make advancements as a human race and have a better world in 2023. We hope you enjoy this show. We'll see you again at the next episode of A Time for Truth show.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got. But the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet